Welcome back, episode 16 of the Four Inside Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Obi. We have a great episode in store for you today. This guy I'm bringing on is the literal embodiment of why I started this platform, man. I met him back in high school. We played football together, and just seeing his work and his grind and his, perseverance is why I needed to bring him on. Without further ado, my guy, Stephen Butler. Stephen, how you doing, bro?
Awesome, awesome. Nice to be here, bro. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm chilling, bro. Chilling. Appreciate you coming on today.
Of course, man. Of course.
All right, where I want to start off is your football career, man. We played for Ridgepoint High School,
hmm
grew up in coming program, and I met you as I was a freshman, and I was new onto the team. Just talk about what got you into football, because every guy's story is different. Every person's story is different. So talk about what it was like for you and how you got into the game.
Well, you already know, like our experiences at RP were definitely different. Football wise, man, I started, to be honest with you, bro, boxing was my first sport. So, I was just always a big kid. And, to be honest with you, me and my mom were walking in Walmart, and this coach that was a little league coach up here would come up to me, and he said, "Hey, does your boy already have like a little league team that he's playing on?" And my mom would be like, "No." And I'm talking about this happened to us like every weekend. Every time I'm at the grocery store or we're out, these little league coaches will come up to me and be like, "Hey, give us your boy. Like, hey, he needs to be on the field somewhere. You need to put him out there." And so eventually, one of my best friends that I've known since I was like a baby, his dad was a coach of a little league team, and he had finally got a hold of my mom, and that was who he ended up signing up with for my first time playing ball. So started that when I was 8. And I was D-line, huge, big chubby kid, big, huge, strong, chubby kid, D-line in Little League, played for one of the best teams in Fort Bend Youth, and I was a Southwest steer. And just coming up from there, just being around that program, honestly, is what kind of shaped me, bro. Just being around so much talent. All the guys that I play with, we either all played college ball somewhere. Almost all of us, like really like 80% of us ended up playing college ball somewhere. And some of them actually like have gone on to the NFL. So even just coming from that kind of like instill like a work ethic in me. And really just, bro, just overall, that's kind of how I got into the game. And then been blessed to exactly we met up in middle school and high school, and we were surrounded by a whole bunch of talent there. My experience in high school, you already know, I had a very underdog experience in high school. Was only a 1 year senior, 1 year varsity player. My senior year was supposed to start. Politics and things happen. I didn't get to start. You know what I'm saying? And to keep it very, very short, bro, things happen. But to be honest with you, bro, that I'm thankful for that experience in football in general, because when that happened to me, you already know I had people coming to the games, filming my games for me, and I did my own thing and marketed myself, and people didn't even know I was getting offers. And then I ended up at that signing table in February, and I got to play the game for 5 more years, bro. So honestly, it's been a good ride. It's been a blessing, a lot of experience, a lot of fun for sure. It paid for most of my college, not all of it, but most of it. So, that's basically what football has been for me. And honestly, bro, it's been easy to let go too. I didn't think that there was life after football at first when I was first done, but it was actually kind of really easy for me to let go, especially after playing it in college.
I feel you. But let's get into your Rich Point experience, because, like you said, our experiences were much different, but not all of it. Not all.
No, not all of it.
Where I want to go into is that, like you said, you had a real underdog experience. I witnessed it firsthand, but for you, in your eyes and in your shoes, I can't tell your story.
Yeah.
Main thing I want you to talk about is, you were a guy, like you said, you had to, persevere. You only were able to play on varsity for 1 year, And for a lot of guys and gals, when they play varsity sports in high school, they give up because they feel like either they don't get the playing time that they need, they don't feel like the coaches believe in them. Politics are a factor, especially where we went to school.
For sure.
It just was what it was. We're not, it ain't salty grapes. It is what it is. So just talk about what your experience was like playing at RP and what those challenges were for you.
Man, well, I mean, we played together in middle school, and you already know, bro. I had never been since I played in middle school. Whatever. I was always and coming up from Little League, bro. I was always a starter, a 18 kid. Never, ever, ever was at the bottom of a list on a tryout. None of that. I mean, like I was good. Like everybody saw that I was good. You know what I'm saying? So we get to RP, made every 18 possible. Freshman team, they moved half of our class up and left us. We played freshman ball, did that whole climb the ladder process. And I mean, still sophomore year, I'm still grinding it out. A team again, grinding it out. Really putting it in, bro. I had just as many yards as the running backs I was blocking for as a fullback, bro. I was toting it. I was getting it in, and really, bro, just I can't. I'm not going to speak on the coaching or anything like that. Like I'm not that type of person, and honestly, it's behind me now, so I don't have it in me to speak bad on the coaching or whatever politics. We were surrounded by a lot of talent. Like it is what it is. Like we were surrounded by a lot of talent. You already know me, and when it came to the weight room, bro, when it was time for us to hit off season, me, you, it was just that handful of guys. We grinded it out. We were in there after practice. We were in there during the summer, which is something that high school kids don't do, bro. High school kids don't do that. We were in there getting in extra work and leaving the field house like at almost 7 p.m. Like I didn't even have rides home from practice, bro. The coaches were taking me home. You know what I'm saying? So the grind story for me was a lot different, and just the overall experience for being in that program. Exactly, it was a competitive school to go to for sure. What really humbled me, bro, and it was honestly something that it could have made or break me, bro, because at one point I was almost willing to quit and you knew what position I was in. I started on every team we played on, both sides of the ball. I got moved to one position on the field, and senior year was my year to start. You already know, bro. We had a 255-pound fullback that ran a 4.5. He had finally graduated, and it was time for me to go. Like it was my chance, bro. I was supposed to start, and I ended up getting that opportunity taken away from me, and my senior year kind of got stepped on, bro. I was building up a lot of fuss of myself. Like a lot of coaches, I had coaches that were actually coming to games, and I did a lot of camps that junior year and really put in on the recruiting side and really did a lot of work for myself. I took visits and everything junior year. And what fueled that, bro, is when that meeting that our head coach told us, he was like, hey, if you're interested in playing college ball, raise your hand and we'll set up a meeting, bro. So, and a lot of y'all don't know this, but when I had my meeting and I sat in the coach's office, and you know how hard I used to work and all this other stuff, I sat across from him and he told me that I was, if I could get a scholarship, that at very best I was going to be a D3 player. So that meeting was that was going in. That was after our junior season on the A team on JV.
Yeah.
And bro, excuse me. And there you go. And after that, bro, that was going into my senior season. He didn't know I had D2 schools looking at me. I actually had one D1 AA invite me for a camp. Like I had all this stuff going on, but it wasn't through the school. Like nobody was asking for my name for the high school. So after I had that meeting, bro, and senior year came along, it was like I didn't care about how much play time I got. Like, you know what? Like, now I got a chip on my shoulder. So you already know we were blowing everybody out in the last 4 minutes. I got put in.
Yeah.
And every time I got put in, bro, I took advantage. I killed it. I killed every single rep I got. I think on max preps it'll only show you like I only had like 16 carries in the season, but if you look at my yard average was 5.6 a carry.
So
So you know what I'm saying? Like I took advantage of every chance I got, and I didn't let it stop me. And you know, like everybody's story is different. Like my story should have been a lot different if I was at a different place, but I had no control over that. So you know, I just rolled with the punches, and that's what we made out of it, bro. Ended up signing to a school out of state, at NAIA, and ended up realizing I was too talented to be there. So I ended up at the best D2 in the state of Texas at the time, and killed it there, bro. And honestly, it's been a blessing every single part of it. I'm actually thankful for everything that's happened to me in high school, for sure.
yeah, man. So from my perspective, it was all about, you know, you were a guy who really was you had a blessing and a curse from your standpoint. We had a very deep stable of running backs. Most of them went on and played in college at some level outside of a couple guys who got hurt. But I mean, it's crazy whenever you had guys who easily could have went and started at other schools in the district.
Yeah, most definitely.
They're on JV at our school. That was the type of competitiveness and how deep our talent pool was. And, you know, just there just wasn't enough reps for you, you know, and, you know, again, you didn't let that stop you. You didn't let that hinder you. You didn't let that make you give up. You just kept pushing and kept your head down and grinded. And that's one thing I always respected about you. You know a little bit of my story and how, you know, I faced some adversity my junior year as well, where, you know, obstacles happened, stuff happened, decisions were made, and, you know, I felt slighted at one point, but at the same time, I could have easily decided, okay, do I quit or do I keep on going? And I think it's important to bring people on here, you know, who decide to take the ladder and say, okay, you know what,
Definitely.
fuck it, there's an obstacle in my way. I can either let it stop me or I can decide to push through it, you know. And for you, again, we had 22 guys from our class sign, I think at least 22. And nobody ever would have thought you would have signed, but I was like, nah, I expected him to be at that motherfucking table because I know, you know, you
Yeah,
know,
bro.
and I feel like that also that adversity helps you get through college and help you play all 5 years, because a lot of guys, you know, didn't play all 4 years. You know,
Man, bro, most of our class didn't make it. There was only 4 of us that actually went the whole 4, and one of us that actually almost took it all the way out of that whole class, out of all that talent we had.
That's crazy.
So that just tells you right there.
And the common, you know, fan or the common man will look at it and say, okay, those dudes, you know, they had 22 guys signed. I'm like, yeah, okay, look at how they end up 4 years from now. And that's the main thing I had to see and I had to understand was, while signing day is cool, signing day, I guarantee most of those guys will either get cut, they'll leave the school, they'll get hurt, they'll quit. Look at who makes it through all 4 years, because it's just a weed out process. And I think one thing that guys really don't understand is that college ball on every level is not the same as high school ball. High school ball is fun, it's a game, and college is work and it's a job, you know what I'm saying? And so I think just you having to go through adversity helps you, you know, push through any obstacle that you were facing in college, you know?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And I'll tell you straight up, bro, it was the kids that got most of that opportunity and were starters and everything. They didn't have that mindset to make it through what it takes to go through college ball, bro. Like, honestly, you kind of got to have that. You got to have that loser kind of chip on your shoulder to make it through college ball, bro, because you got to realize when you're this kid that you're a man amongst boys in high school, you got 90 other kids that are coming in that did the same thing you did.
Yeah.
And so when you get that entitled mindset and you don't have what it takes when they stick somebody in front of you in college, it don't matter, bro. It really, half the time it's not a talent thing in college. So when they stick somebody in front of you just because they recruited them too, they recruited all these kids. So when they stick a kid in front of you just for the sake that they're on that program, and you got this mindset like, hey, like I should be starting. I did this in high school. I did that. They ain't gonna make it. And a lot of those kids didn't. That's how they weed out those kids, man. That's how That's how a lot of our guys didn't make it through, bro, because that entitlement they came out of high school that's not how you make it through college, bro. Fall camp and everything. The first thing I noticed when I first got to college, bro, was these names on magnets on that whiteboard, bro. And all they do is just every single day, bro, they move them around like a puzzle piece, bro. Every single practice, people getting moved on this whiteboard, bro. So I'm telling you, like, that dog mentality is something you gotta have. And honestly, I care more about the kids that aren't getting looked at in high school, because those are the kids that want it, and those are the kids that will probably help out a program more, bro.
Yeah, those are the hidden gems. That's what I always refer to them as, hidden gems.
Yeah,
We had some
bro.
on our team. We had some on our team where they didn't fit the eye test, and I remember our defense. We used to use that to our advantage. Like, okay, we were a bunch of dudes who, when you looked at us, oh, that guy's not 6'3" and 270 like a prototypical blue chipper. But yeah,
Yeah,
you can't measure dog though. You can't measure my IQ.
definitely
I
not.
want to. And I think we had a lot of those types of guys on our team and on our defense, and that's what helped us be successful. And a lot of guys weren't initially recruited their first 3 years. A lot of what we were able to accomplish came in that last year when we won district and everything. And I just think, again, it's important to reinforce this point of, to get to the next level, you're living proof of it, that you have to have a certain level of drive in order to get to the next level. And what are you going to do to set yourself apart when you get there? A lot of guys are just complacent in getting signed. Okay.
Most definitely.
But they don't make it through for whatever reason,
Man, but it's another thing, bro. You got to think about it. When we were there, honestly, until I talked to one of my closest position coaches there, bro, I didn't know anything about these other options. Like, we were in a big city. You're in Houston, bro.
Yeah.
I had never heard the term NAIA, never heard of the term D3, never heard of D2, never heard of these other D1 AA or FCS, none of this. Never heard about any of these other opportunities that actually pay kids money to play.
Facts.
We never heard of this, but I didn't hear none of this until my junior year, man, at all. So nobody told me about these other options, and that's the problem when all you're surrounded by is D1, 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 D1.
D1.
Everybody's doing this. D1. You go to school in Houston, you're at a big 5A, 6A. All you see is schools that are big D1s come to your school. You don't notice you have that option, bro. You don't. And it falls on the programs itself, bro, because we should be telling these kids, like, hey, after you leave 8th grade, you need to make a highlight tape.
Facts.
You need to start sending emails in 9th grade, and you need to market yourself. Nobody tells these kids that, bro. And it has to change. It's got to be, especially with technology being so prominent, bro, it's got to be something that changes. And I don't know why we still run into this problem, but it's a lot of it is kids that just don't know about it. And a lot of kids is just, okay, I need to realize that I may not run a 4.5. I'm a safety. I'm a under 6 foot safety. I don't run a 4.5, but I'm good. Mm-hmm. So let me see what I can do with this. Let me see if somebody will pay for my college. Yeah. But a lot of kids don't know that they have that option. We got to change it, bro. We got to. We have to.
And that's why we come on here and have this conversation, man, because that's the thing. People don't know because nobody's telling them, or nobody's bringing.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm like, okay, I looked at it, and especially after I got done playing ball, I was like, man, there's a lot that if I had known this when I started high school, or when I started playing, man, mm-hmm. Who knows? And it's like, for me, as I started mentoring people, as I started mentoring young kids, as young dudes were starting to ask me about ball, ask me about different things, I'm like, man, it's a lot of things that they don't tell you, bro. And that's why, it's like, okay, let me get this guy on here. Let me get this guy on here who's actually seen it and who's actually.
Most definitely.
No, I mean, because it's all about passing down what we know now to the next generation and to the next, crop of kids. You never know. A dude who has the want to, has the dog, can be productive, can be a good player, and he just never had the know-how. He gets left behind, and then, he doesn't make it. Not because he couldn't do it, but just because he didn't know he had the option. Yeah.
Most definitely. I totally agree, bro.
But getting recruited, for you, like you said, you played at a JUCO. And then you went and transferred to a D2. But let's talk about your JUCO experience first. Now they have a Netflix show called Last Chance U that gives a little bit of a depiction as to JUCO
Yeah.
life. But for you who experienced it, the first thing I knew about it and I know now, and what people don't understand is the fact that first
So
off,
my experience, I actually I could have went the JUCO route. I could have went to Navarro and Kilgore,
yeah,
and I skipped out on that because I got offered money to go play at a 4 year. So I did. I went the NAIA route
mm. What's the difference
because
between
I
NAIA
got offered. Yeah.
What's
So
the
it's
difference?
these really small schools, bro. Really tiny schools in the middle of nowhere, but they actually got some really good scholarship packages, bro. And
Mm,
that's what I got hit with. I got hit with, hey, you probably don't even know who we are, but you fit our offense, and we have money for you.
mm.
So that's
X.
where I went, bro. And it was the most terrible experience I could have ever imagined, bro. I lasted 2 semesters. Actually, no. So I lasted 2 semesters there. Then uh, I had issues with getting released
Mm,
with their athletic director. And so I got an offer from Midwestern coming out of high school, but I didn't go
mm,
because it wasn't enough money. Um, so I ended up just reaching back out to him, and I had one of my best friends that was already playing over there, and sent them a highlight tape from the school that I was currently playing at. Like, this is just, he was like, yo, he's a true freshman. He's doing this and this and that over here in Kansas. Like, let's bring him back or whatever. So the coach that recruited me actually ended up taking a job at SFA, so he wasn't even there anymore. So nobody even knew who I was. But
right.
the head coach remembered me
Mm-hmm.
because the head coach is the one that asked about me at a game at Ridge Point where I didn't play.
Mm,
And the coach that went out there to go watch me left, but he told the coach about my size and about like what I had to offer because he watched my film. So the
mm.
head coach remembered me, and I ended up getting offered to go there. So that's where I went. That's where I graduated from, and that's where I ended up at.
Now,
But honestly, brother, the 2 year, the two and leave, experience.
mm,
This is all about what you make it, bro. Just as long as you, and kids bounce around everywhere. So it's just all about again your attitude and what you put into it. If you know you want to leave a school and you want a bigger opportunity somewhere else,
mm.
then it's plain and simple. Even though you may hate where you're at that certain point in time, or you may not like the program or what they do, you still got to put in that work so you can get out. So it's that simple. If I want to leave, then guess what? I got to bust my ass. I got to tear it up over here so I can get out. It's
Yeah,
that
of
easy.
course.
So that's basically what I did, bro. I killed it over there. I was a true freshman. Uh, didn't start my first year. I was just in the mix as a freshman. Did special teams, and then the last 2 years I started, uh, scored one touchdown. My freshman year, I scored a touchdown. Um, Second year, I scored a few. Third year, I completely smashed it.
Mm,
Um, was up there. I got freshman of the week or something like that
yeah.
once. So killed it over there. I knew I wasn't going to stay there, so I killed it and then went about my business and went somewhere else better, bro. So that was the story of that. And I honestly knew when I signed to that school, I knew I wasn't going to stay there. After I visited, I knew I wasn't going to stay there. So
Yeah.
that's kind of just what made me grind it out more. Is just the fact that I knew I didn't want to be there.
Facts. So then when you get to Midwestern State, talk about what that experience is like. You transfer now.
Man, transferring to MSU was a great experience, and you know what? Like it's a small town in the middle of nowhere, but I was just so grateful to be back in state, bro,
Yeah.
because Kansas was just so awful. And I tell everybody, I'm like, if you're a person that wants to travel and visit all of the states, just cross Kansas off your list because there's absolutely nothing there, bro. So when I got back to MSU, it was a breath of fresh air for me, and I was just so happy to be in state. And solid program, very competitive. Had a guy that got drafted a year before I got there, so they were kind of high radar. They had gone from winning, I think, like 5 conference championships in a row. Just a lot of culture, a lot of grind. It was one of the toughest programs I've been in, and our program in high school was tough. And so it was tough, bro. It was really tough. I loved it though. Everybody was close knit. I kind of, regained my passion for the game there, most definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't make as much noise as I made at my first school in Kansas, but I did enough. And in my senior year, ended up getting switched to outside, back to defense where my bread and butter was, back to outside linebacker.
Yeah.
And helped out on the other side of the ball. And it was really just a smooth career. I kind of transitioned from being football minded at MSU. MSU is kind of where I got humbled at and realized that I had started interning and started getting into other stuff as far as my career goes. And I started to see that there was a lot of stuff that I had to offer other than being a football player.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of stuff that I was involved in. I was a manager at a gym out there. They called me. They found out I was there, and they called me. Apparently, they were watching what I was doing in Houston, and they wanted me there. So I was managing a gym full time, playing football, working on graduating. I kind of shifted focus after that sophomore season where I got redshirted because I had never been redshirted before. And that kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, oh, okay. Life
is bigger.
All right, well, what am I going to do now? Like, I'm off for a season, so like, what the hell am I getting ready to do? So, that's kind of where my mindset shifted, and I kind of realized, you know what, like, now's the time where I invest in like what I'm finna do while I play football. I'm gonna invest on what I'm gonna do after football. So, I loved MSU. I really had a good time. The guys were good. We went through a lot of stuff together. I got 2 rings. I got one from Tabor and one from MSU.
Good.
So I mean, it was a good ride up there, bro. I'm very grateful, and I'm glad I graduated. That's the school I chose to graduate from for sure. If anybody gets recruited from there, I definitely recommend going for sure.
There you go. That's what's up, man. But talk about that though. That your mindset started to shift and started to evolve as as your experiences changed and as you got to Midwestern State, because I think a lot of guys struggle with that post football career. They don't know really what to do, or they never really find their purpose in life, never find what they want to do with life after football.
Yeah.
Right. So just talk about how that came about for you.
So, I mean, you already know my situation is kind of different. Like, I'm kind of a rare cadence because I found out what I was good at and what I was going to do when I was 15. Like, y'all knew I was working at a gym while we were in high school. I was working at a gym. I'd open up the gym, teach a class, go to school, go to practice, go back to the gym, teach classes, train clients, close the gym, and repeat. And I've been doing that since I was 15. And I found that by accident. You know what I'm saying? But because I found it so early, I didn't really have to fish around and realize, like, kind of be that lost puppy in college and try to see what I wanted to do. But the advice that I do tell people that don't know is just really, when you go into college, not knowing what profession you want to get into, what I tell like a lot of the young guys that I work out with now, that work out with me and train with me, whatever, or that I just mentor, I tell them like, hey, don't declare. Like, your advisor's gonna be like, well, what do you want to do? If you don't know, then be like, I don't want to declare. Take all your core courses, because in those core courses, that's where you find out what you're interested in, bro. If you're good at math, then you figure out you want to do something that involves math. If you're good at A&P, you figure out like, hey, I'm good at A&P naturally. I could be a PT. I can get into strength and conditioning. I can do this and this and that. Or if I'm good at psychology, if psychology interests me, then, hey, look, like, I like psychology. What can I get into with psychology? So that's kind of the way that I tell the younger guys to gauge. If you have no clue, absolutely no clue and no passion for one thing right now, go to college undeclared. Like, do your 2 years or your 3 semesters without knowing, and find out. Because you'll find out real quickly, bro, when you in that geology class and you don't care about rocks, you know that you don't want to do anything involving rocks. Or if you in psychology and you don't care about anything about psychology, then you don't realize you don't like that. So that's kind of how you gauge out what you want to do. And really, even in the field that I was in, bro, even with that background, I still honestly didn't have a finger on it until my maybe my sophomore year.
Yeah.
Because my first year I got to intern or whatever. It was just a shadowing experience. So I didn't really know if I was gonna like, that field or area at all. Because I had dipped my head in a lot of stuff. I interned at an accounting firm. I interned at a brokerage firm. I interned all different types of places. So I really wasn't able to put my finger on it until my sophomore year. But then once you take those core classes, you figure it out fast.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I figured it out. And I just been in like with me, I've had this experience since I was 15. So when people ask me that question, at the same time, I don't really count because me personally, I didn't have that experience. I kind of was not groomed for it, but kind of groomed for it, like for what I'm into now. So, that's basically what I have to say about it. Just don't go in trying to pressure yourself to know what you want to do. There's grown-ups that majored in something that still don't know what they want to do. So if I can give you that advice, man, just go in knowing that you don't know what you want to do, and then have an open mind, bro, and really pay attention in the classes that you think you might not care about, and you know what I'm saying, just figure it out that way. Yeah. That's the best advice I could give you, for real, college-wise.
Yeah, and it's a good point, man, because, I think there are a lot of young kids and a lot of young people, especially as the world around us diversifies. It's like they don't really have a sure, like, hand as far as, okay, I want to do this and I know it for sure. And so going being undeclared and just, getting your bases done, first off, you're going to go through a maturation process just being in college alone. There's going to be a sense of, okay, I'm on my own. Okay, I need to learn how to do this, need to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I hate doing this, but I like this. So naturally, let me try to gravitate towards things, at least in this
definitely.
field. And then from there, you just got to do some research. Like, okay, I know I like math, or I know I like science, or I know I like, whatever the case may be. Okay, what majors, involve that realm, and then that's how you gauge it. What you don't want to do is what some people end up, falling into, which is you declare a major that either you really aren't bought into or you don't really even know what it is, and then all of a sudden halfway through it's like, oh man, I want to change my major. Now you got to basically go back to ground zero or start from square one again, and then you're wasting your money, or you're wasting your parents' money. You're having to take out loans, and then you end up delaying graduation, right? So, just if you're not sure yet, then don't, like I said, don't declare. I had a good idea, but I switched majors. Luckily, I found it early enough to where it didn't set me back too much. And I think what it was also was that the realms that the major I switched to was similar to what I'd already been in. It was just a derivative of it. Instead of being so much more the physical side, it was the physical coupled with the social. And again, for people who ask me now as they get into college, like, what should I do, or what should I major in, or how did you go about X, Y, or Z? It's like you said, look, you have to be real with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself, and you have to understand who you are as a person. Don't live for anybody else. Don't do a major because you were told to do it, or because somebody else thought it was cool. Nah, you have to be self-aware and say, okay, I love this, or I'm interested in this. I know I want my life to look like this, and then figure out a profession and a major that enables you to get to that lifestyle.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, bro. Totally agree.
So now you graduate from college, you got what you want, but let's talk about your other passion, man. Boxing. You've talked about boxing since the day I met you. You've always had a passion for it. I've seen some of your fights. You've talked about it. You've even raised money for one of our boys before with it. So just talk about how you got into boxing and how you developed that passion.
Man, and it's crazy because I didn't get into boxing. I was just backstory. I was just always a bad kid, bro. I came from a really shitty situation growing up. I grew up in Ridgemont, so everybody that listens to Zero in Houston, whenever he's talking about Ridgemont, I'm from Ridgemont. I'm from I'm from the first street when you hop on Ridgemont. That's where I'm from. Um, no father, basically, virtually no father situation. So honestly, just growing up as a kid, I was I don't know if I was angry, but I was bad. Like I had just a lot of emotion and a lot of stuff built up in me, and I was expressing it in very bad ways. I was the kid that was in the principal's office every other day, and my mama was coming to get me. So boxing for me uh, was used as a source of discipline. Initially, is what it was for. The coach that I got introduced to was just a coach that was in my neighborhood, and he had been there for a long time. Helped started up the PABA gym with George Foreman and those guys, and very old school. And the first thing uh, he said to me when he was asking my mom why he was bringing me in here, well, he's acting up in school and all of this. First thing he did was tell me to just go outside and run. Go outside and run. Don't come back in until I'm done talking to your mama.
Damn.
So from then on, bro, I honestly hated boxing when I first started. I was this fat, chubby kid. I'm like, bro, I hate running. I hate just fat, chubby kid and going to a boxing gym, didn't know what I was doing, whatever. Then my brother was the one that started. He was already doing it when that happened. And so I honestly wasn't even caring to get into the sport. I was just there doing whatever the coach told me to do because I was in trouble. And my brother taught me the science, bro. Started learning how to throw punches and learned the science and really got into it with my brother and really dug into it. And my coach saw that like naturally I was catching on really, really fast. Like after my second session doing skill work and everything, coach was like, you know what, like, hey, Leon, you have to get up in there. Like you got a natural jab, you moving, you catching on fast. Like a lot of kids don't catch on this fast. So he told my mom. My mom was against it. My mom was like, no, I don't want him to take any contact. I don't want him to do that. Like just keep doing what we're doing, whatever. So I started when I was 5. Didn't have my first fight till I was 8. And then from there, I kind of just, like you said, I kind of really just naturally jumped into it, bro. Didn't lose until I was like 16. So a lot of fights, a lot of fun, a lot of experience. Junior Olympics when I was 14. 2 Golden Glove wins. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long ride, and honestly, I developed that passion just through being a kid, bro. Being a kid with a troubled background, trying to find ways to express my emotion and whatever, getting in trouble, and then kind of just it grew on me, just like every sport does for everybody. So it grew up on me, and it ended up being a huge, like, boxing is what most of my life is made up of. That's why people meet me. That's what I talk about, because without boxing, I probably wouldn't even be here, bro. Probably would have ended up in jail or something like that, something crazy, to be honest with you, because I already liked fighting in general. So, I mean, I used it. It's done a lot for me, professional wise and everything. So I love it. I'm trying to get back into it, actually, bro. I'm looking at getting back into doing a few more amateur fights. I've been doing fights with pro fight camps with a lot of pro guys in the Houston area since I've gotten back. Worked with Justin Ledet. He was on the card for Conor McGregor. He was on that undercard. My sparring partner when I was in Wichita getting ready to fight again before I had my car accident, my sparring partner was Bubba McDaniel. So I did a bunch of camps with him. He was in that same class as John Jones in the Ultimate Fighter. Just a lot of my background with boxing. I've just been surrounded by a lot of great guys. Mike Jackson is one of the guys. Like, I was a kid and he was a grown up, and he kind of opened a lot of doors for me as far as the game of boxing goes. He taught me a lot, beat me up a ton. So just honestly, bro, I've been surrounded by a good community of people, and I've let it take me a lot of places. So we'll just see what else goes on with it. I'm not ready to give it up yet. My mom wants me to, but I'm gonna still keep trying to see. I'm gonna try to push and see where I can take it. I'm looking at the next year and a half, trying to go pro pretty soon. So we'll see where that goes, bro. But yeah, that's the story behind boxing. And now I've kind of transformed when it was taken away from me to go play college football because I couldn't do both. Kind of just transformed it into something that I've had passion for, and now I just share it with everybody else. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's what boxing's done for me, man. I encourage everybody to try it, to be honest, or some type of combative sport because it teaches you a lot.
Absolutely. No, I agree because for me, I wasn't too much in the boxing. I did it, and it is fun and it is great. I had a guy when there was a UFC gym out here in Siena.
Yeah.
I had a trainer named DC Mitchell, and then my sparring partner in boxing was this guy named Austin Williams. He's a junior Gold Glover, and
Yeah, Ammo.
Ammo. That was my fucking sparring partner. He used to kick my butt every spar. But we had a good chemistry because we made each other better. He made me have to be disciplined and keep your hands up, and you had to be in shape with him because he had batteries.
He has a motor. He doesn't stop.
But for me, what he liked about me was the fact that I was a big, heavy dude at the time, and I used to always try to wear him down by keep forcing the pressure and keeping him up against the ropes and really having to use my side against them. And so we kind of had a good chemistry about ourselves. And boxing was fun, but I was more into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I still am into it. So the Gracie family, studying Frank Mir, the Nogueira brothers, those type of guys. I'm all into the combat sports. And like you said, like it's a combat sport, but it's not about fighting. It's about discipline and it's about learning principles and applying principles to life. I mean, especially in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the first thing they teach you is like this is self-defense. We don't use this to incite violence. You use it to really try to stop it and to avoid it. But if you need to defend yourself, then you do so. But you try to use that as a last resort. You know what I'm saying? And just being able to defend yourself and have that peace of mind about yourself is something I think everybody should have. You don't want to have anxiety and have anger, have a bunch of built-up emotion that you never really deal with. You need to acknowledge it, and you need an outlet, whatever that is, whether it's a combat sport or whether it's the gym. Everybody needs something that they can use to release their emotions. So I agree, man.
Most definitely.
Now, before we transition, though, I got to ask you the question then. Who are your top 5 boxers of all time?
Top 5 boxers of all time. You want it in that order or what? Because I get asked this all the time.
Anyway, give me 1 through 5. 1 through 5.
1 through 5. All right. Well, number 1, and this is just because this is just my childhood idol, but number 1, I'm going Sweet Pea Whitaker. Number 2, I'm going Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Number 3, and this is my favorite boxer of all time. It's kind of who I model my style after, but Roy Jones Jr. is my absolute favorite boxer. I watched endless amounts of film on him.
Yeah.
That's my guy. Number 4, and I know this may sound crazy to a lot of people, but number 4, even with me being a bigger guy, I admire Ray Leonard. Ray Leonard Sugar Ray is one of like my favorite guys to watch and model myself after. And out of these class of new guys, man, I actually everybody picks Floyd in their top 5. Floyd isn't in my top 5. It's I'm actually rolling with, out of this new class of guys or just any of these relevant guys, I'm actually going to roll with Errol Spence.
Hey, he's good. You're dog.
And I put him in my top 5, and everybody thinks I'm crazy, but he's the most textbook, whatever you want to see out of a perfect, busy boxer. That's what he gives you, man. So that's my top 5.
So wait, why doesn't Floyd make your top 5? Let me ask you that, since people.
The reason why Floyd doesn't make my top 5, bro, is because Floyd is the best boxer that we have ever seen, but Floyd naturally was not the best boxer that we have ever seen. Floyd mastered the science of boxing.
Yeah.
And Floyd made it work for him. Floyd made money off of that. That is why Floyd is not my favorite boxer, because these prolific guys where it's given,
Yeah.
and they came out mastering the science, like Sweet Pea.
Yeah.
Those are the guys I respect more, because they didn't have to be students of the game. They just came out with it, you know? So I totally agree Floyd is the best boxer we've ever seen, but he gradually got there. He didn't come out that way. Floyd didn't come out being the best boxer, for sure.
What about Mike Tyson? Because Mike Tyson's a guy that, and just given the fact that Roy Jones and him are about to face off, what do you have Mike Tyson on your list, and what do you think of them two going at it?
Mike Tyson's probably gonna fall like right at number 6, bro. Like Mike is Iron Mike. Like there's what else can you say about him, bro? He's probably in everybody's like top 6, top 10, whatever. Yeah. A lot of guys top 3, but he's special, bro. He knocks everybody out within 3 rounds. Like you can't. Nobody else has that many knockdowns in less than 3 rounds other than him.
And he's gonna intimidate you and talk to you funny.
He's an animal, bro. He's a killer. And I honestly used to watch his podcast videos and his interviews, and the dude was literally a killer. He had a murderer's mindset, like legit. Yeah. So
it's crazy. All right, man. We get into the last parts of the show. Talk about the biggest lessons you learned just with boxing, with football, and just evolving in your experiences. What have you learned? What would you say your biggest lessons you've learned in life are?
Biggest lesson that I learned in life. Woo. It's been a lot.
Hell yeah.
But if I can go off of a broad spectrum, if we're talking about from when I was in high school with you until now, where I'm at, man, it's just, hey, you already know me, bro. I've had a lot of setbacks, a ton. I was always the kid with the car getting broken down on the way to school, leaving the school, had a lot of issues, didn't have much in high school. A lot of setbacks, bro. Just when you get hit, and I've learned life is literally like, bro, it's like a tug of war, bro. Like it's literally, you're never going to stop fighting. Even when you feel like you've arrived and you've made the amount of money that you feel like you've made, or you feel like you've arrived, bro, it's always going to be something else that is coming your way, bro. It's always going to knock you down. Like I said, I got knocked down athletically. I put my head down and I fought and scratched, and then I overcame that. That wasn't handed the best cards as a kid. I with the help of some mentors and some adults and boxing and some other things in my life, I was able to claw myself out of that too. Yes. So didn't really have the career that I wanted to have football wise. I thought that I was going to be able to be one of those guys that sneak into the league because I was a fullback, athletic, good hands, whatever. Yeah. But, other things have came my way. Regardless with these setbacks, a lot of doors have opened. Even when that happened, or when I wasn't starting in high school, I actually started interning when I was 16. Like the guy that I interned with for 4 years, that's actually kind of like helped shape my career, man. I started interning for the Rockets when I was 16.
Yeah.
After I wasn't able to, after I wasn't getting much playing time in high school. Yeah. So that senior year that I didn't play, I was already at the Toyota Center shadowing somebody, digging into that. It was my senior year was my first year getting to meet James Harden and Clint and Eric Gordon. That was actually his first year coming in. Getting ready to work with these guys, and I ended up being his intern every summer. So, with all these things that I've gone through, you can't fold, bro. And if you keep and you already know me, bro, even with everything that I went through, I was always composed, and you never saw me moping, or it never changed my work ethic. I was just like, you know what? Okay. Like, what else?
Yeah.
What else can you give me? What else can you give me? So with all these things, man, and if you find yourself in a spot where you become negative or whatever, you notice that you miss out on a lot, bro. Because if I would have pitied myself, quit football, kind of fell off the spectrum, and I wasn't, teaching my clients and doing things, and met the guy that I met to get where I am now, kind of, I would have missed out. You know what I'm saying? Kind of would have just been this really upset person because I'm not starting. I'm not doing whatever I want to do. Wouldn't have went to college. Wouldn't have interned anywhere. Wouldn't have got no experience. I kind of would have just been in a totally different situation. So, when your mindset is positive, you're humble, you don't feel like the world owes you anything, and you just decide to go get it, you'll realize that a lot of these doors, a lot of these opportunities will open up for you. And I'm very grateful that I am the person that I am, and I have that mindset because it's opened a lot of doors. It's opened a lot of opportunity, bro. And I've gone through a ton. I've gone through a lot. There's a lot of 23-year-olds I don't think could walk in my shoes. I don't think it's a lot of 23-year-olds that would have finished college. I was a college student. My first 6 semesters of college, bro, I went to 6 funerals. Went through a lot. So it's not a lot of people that can walk in my shoes, but I'm glad I have these shoes, bro. It's a lot of shitty things have been thrown in my direction, but I'm glad. Like I love it. I look at the adversity and I love it because that is what it takes in order to get where you actually want to go. Once you realize that life sucks and it's always going to suck, bro, life is never good. Like when Future is saying life is good, life is never good. Life sucks. So when you go in knowing that life sucks and you're ready to take it on, bro, you gonna win. That's how you win, bro. So if I can wrap up everything from boxing, Ridgepoint, college, to right where I am this very second, that is probably the best thing is do not fold. Like whatever you do, keep your head down, keep trucking, fight through it. And I mean, better things are going to open up for you.
Facts.
Seriously.
All right. Final 2 questions, man. Who should I bring on for insight, man? Who's the guest I should bring on?
Let's see. Are we talking about people we went to school with? What are we looking at here?
Anybody we know. Anybody we know.
Trying to think. There's a lot of people doing a lot of stuff.
Right. Who would you want to see you bring on?
Honestly, if you can get a hold of him, try to get Austin to do a podcast with you. I know it's gonna be kind of tough to get a hold of.
Austin.
But see if you can get Austin Williams on here.
Oh shit!
If you can get a hold of him. I mean, I know he's a pro and he's kind of hard to get a hold of. But if you called him before he signed that contract and everything, see if you can get him to give you a few minutes, a few sound bites. Other than that, I think Tyler Turner is probably the best.
I got him. He coming up. We was supposed to do
Tyler. Yeah, Tyler's doing a lot of stuff, bro, and he's dropping a lot. Me and Tyler chop it up weekly, like almost daily, bro. That's still my best friend to this day, and he had an underdog story just like me, bro. And we're both career-wise, professionally. I mean, we're both killing it in different realms, but we're both killing it. And honestly, without Tyler, I honestly don't think that my confidence in the field that I'm in, and trusting my ability and everything, being where I'm getting to where I've gotten to and stuff like that, I don't think I'd be there without Tyler. So if Tyler can dish off some knowledge, I definitely let Tyler dish off some knowledge for sure, bro.
That's a bet. And then final thing, man. I think you kind of hit it on the head already, but your last nugget of wisdom to the next generation, the young athletes, young boxers, young football players, young trainers. Give one more last nugget of wisdom.
Last word of wisdom for athletes in general, just all like on a broad spectrum. Shit, let me think, man. The best advice I could give you is don't go into whatever sports you do, like play that sport like you're the absolute worst at what you do. And I don't mean confidence wise and don't be confident in your ability. What I mean is don't even if you rush for 1,000 yards in a season, so what? Like don't even play in the stats. Don't look at your stats. Treat yourself like you're a regular person because that's what everybody on the outside is looking at you as. You
Right.
may think you're the best athlete in the world, but there's always somebody that's going to bring you back to earth, whether you get knocked out. I've been dropped before. I've been dropped before. Whether you think you're the best running back, receiver, whatever, there's gonna be that kid that locks you up and embarrasses you a game. Like, but as long as you train and you act like you're the worst and you keep that mindset that you've never arrived, then you're gonna be the best that you can possibly be. Like that's the best way I can put it. Humble yourself and literally be the best that you could possibly be.
Well
And that's
said, bro.
kind of like what I'm trying to instill in my guys that I'm training now. Just to kind of just get in here and work, man. That's what I'm trying to get on my athletes about now. Just get in here and work. Don't worry about what the next man next to you is doing, or don't worry about what other people's success stories are looking like. If you're a kid that's not playing or whatever, then worry about that. That's what you need to be worried. That's what you're in here for.
Yeah.
Everybody's path is different, but the one path that you can control and the one thing you can control is your attitude, bro. So your mindset, once you change that, I mean, you got the key to the whole world, bro. That's it.
No doubt.
You control everything after that. That's it.
All right. That's what's up, bro. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Already.
That's a wrap. 4 Insight Podcast, episode 16. Appreciate my brother Stephen coming on and lending his knowledge, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Of course.
So you can catch this episode on YouTube, Spotify, all platforms, Sugar Podcast. Appreciate y'all.